Welcome back. Let the day go. Tonight, we travel. We are going back nearly 3,000 years, back to a kingdom so wealthy, so perfectly placed between Africa and Arabia that its queen controlled the most precious commodities on earth. Gold from the mines of Africa, frankincense and myrrh from the trees of Arabia, spices that traveled farther than any army ever could. Sheba. You think you know her. You have heard the Bible story. 11 verses in the Book of Kings. A queen arrives. She asks hard questions. She gives gifts. She leaves. You have seen the paintings. A dark-skinned woman kneeling before a white king, as if she came to submit. You have heard her reduced to a seductress, a curiosity, a footnote in the story of a man. You do not know her. Tonight, we walk through the markets where her wealth was made. We stand in the palace where she ruled for decades, alone, by her own right. We smell the frankincense burning in stone temples. We hear the caravan bells, thousands of them, as she makes the journey no other ruler dared to make. Tonight, you meet Makeda. Settle in. Close your eyes when you are ready. The story begins now. She ruled from a city whose name the ancient world spoke with the same reverence we give to Rome or Babylon. Marib, in what is now Yemen, but was then the crossroads of the world. Picture it, not as a ruin, which is what remains today, but as it was when she sat upon the throne. The city rises from the desert edge, not from sand, but from green, because the people of Sheba had done something extraordinary. They had built a dam, not a small one. The Marib Dam stretched more than half a kilometer across a valley, a wall of cut stone and mortar holding back an entire season of mountain rain. Behind it, water spread across the valley floor and turned desert into farmland. Date palms in perfect rows, fields of sorghum and millet stretching to the horizon, gardens fed by canals that ran through the city like veins. The dam made Sheba possible. It made Makeda's wealth possible. And the people who built it, her people, were among the finest engineers of the ancient world. Walk with me now through the streets of Marib at dawn. The air is cool. It will not stay cool. By midday, the sun will turn the stone walls into ovens. But right now, in the half-light before the heat arrives, the city is waking. A water carrier walks past with a goat skin slung across his shoulder, the water sloshing with each step. From an open doorway comes the smell of flatbread cooking on a clay griddle, teff flour, sour and nutty. A merchant unrolls a reed mat outside his shop and begins arranging his goods. Blocks of pressed frankincense, each one pale as bone and worth more than its weight in silver. Frankincense. This is what built Sheba. The trees that produce it grow only in a narrow band of mountains. Southern Arabia, the Horn of Africa. You cut the bark with a knife. The tree bleeds a white sap that hardens into tears. Those tears, when burned, release a smoke that the ancient world believed carried prayers to heaven. Every temple from Rome to Babylon to Jerusalem burned frankincense. Every funeral, every coronation, every moment when a human being wanted to reach beyond the physical world, they burned frankincense, and almost all of it passed through Sheba. Myrrh came too, darker, more bitter, used for medicine and embalming. Gold came from across the Red Sea, from the mines of Africa that had been worked for centuries. Spices came from India, cinnamon and cassia, carried on ships that sailed with the monsoon winds. Makeda sat at the center of all of it. She did not inherit a small kingdom. The Sabian state stretched from the mountains of Yemen across the Red Sea to the highlands of Ethiopia. She ruled millions. She commanded armies. She spoke multiple languages: Sabaean, Ge'ez, probably Egyptian, probably the trade dialects of the caravans that arrived at her court from every direction. And she was not a king's wife. She was not a regent. She ruled in her own name, by her own authority, and the inscriptions of her kingdom do not mention any man standing beside her. Let us move now from the markets to the palace. It sits on a rise above the city, built from the same honey-colored stone as the dam. The walls are carved with inscriptions in the Sabaean script, an alphabet of sharp angles and elegant curves, one of the oldest writing systems in Arabia. The inscriptions praise the gods of Sheba. They record the queen's victories. They list the tribute paid by lesser kings. Inside, the floors are covered with woven mats from Africa. The windows are narrow, designed to keep out the heat while letting in the breeze. In the queen's audience chamber, frankincense burns constantly in bronze bowls. The smoke drifts up toward the ceiling beams, which are made from cedar imported from Lebanon, a wood so precious that kings fought wars over access to it. This is not a primitive place. This is one of the most sophisticated courts on earth. Makeda's advisors include scholars who can calculate the movement of the stars, engineers who can build dams that last 1,000 years, merchants who speak a dozen languages and know the price of every commodity in every market, from India to Greece. Her scribes write on palm stalks and stone tablets, recording every shipment of frankincense, every weight of gold, every caravan that enters and leaves the city. And then one day, word reaches her court of a king in the north, Solomon. You have heard this story told from Solomon's side. Tonight, you hear it from hers. She did not go to Jerusalem to be impressed. She went to negotiate. The Bible says she came with hard questions, riddles, tests of wisdom. But the Hebrew word also means puzzles, challenges, diplomatic negotiations. Makeda was not coming to sit at a king's feet. She was coming to see whether this new power in the north was a threat or an opportunity, whether his legendary wisdom was real, whether he could be trusted as a trading partner. She did not travel light. Picture the caravan, 2,000 camels, according to some traditions, loaded with gold, with spices, with precious stones. The line stretched for miles across the desert. At its head rode Makeda herself, shaded by attendants, carrying wide parasols, surrounded by guards who had sworn oaths to protect her life with their own. The journey from Marib to Jerusalem takes months. The caravan crosses the empty quarter of Arabia, follows the ancient trade routes north through what is now Saudi Arabia and Jordan. At night, the temperature drops, and the travelers wrap themselves in wool cloaks. By day, the sun beats down, and the camels plod forward, each step sinking slightly into the sand. They pass through kingdoms that pay tribute to Sheba. They stop at oases where the water is sweet and the date palms offer shade. They are met along the way by messengers from Solomon's court, sent to guide them the final distance to Jerusalem. And then, at last, the city appears on the horizon. Jerusalem, not as it is now, as it was then, a city rising from the hill country, its temple newly built, its walls gleaming with limestone that seems to glow gold in the evening light. Solomon's capital, the seat of a kingdom that had never seen anything like what was approaching from the south. She entered Jerusalem as an equal. This is what the Bible does not emphasize, but what the story makes clear if you read it carefully. She did not come to submit. She came with gifts, yes, but they were the gifts of one monarch to another. She tested him, she questioned him, and when she was satisfied, she told him, "The reality of your wisdom surpasses the reports." Then she went home. The Ethiopian tradition tells more. In the Kibra Nagast, the Glory of Kings, the national epic of Ethiopia, written down in the 14th century but passed down for far longer, Makeda does not leave Jerusalem unchanged. She embraces the faith of Solomon's people, and she returns to Sheba carrying something more valuable than gold or frankincense. She carries a child, Menelik, the son of Solomon and Makeda. And when Menelik grows up, the story says, he travels to Jerusalem to meet his father, and when he returns to Africa, he brings with him the most sacred object in the Hebrew world, the Ark of the Covenant. According to Ethiopian tradition, it rests in Ethiopia still, in a chapel in Aksum, guarded by monks who dedicate their entire lives to protecting it. Whether you believe this or not, and reasonable people disagree, the tradition says something profound. It says that the line of African kingship runs directly through Makeda, that the emperors of Ethiopia, from Menelik all the way down to Haile Selassie in the 20th century, traced their bloodline to her, the Solomonic dynasty, the longest royal line in human history. And it began with a queen who asked hard questions. She ruled for decades. She built a kingdom that the world could not ignore. She negotiated with kings as an equal. She controlled the trade routes that carried the most precious substances on earth. And history gave her 11 verses, but her people knew. The Ethiopian church preserved her memory for 3,000 years. The monks of Aksum still tell her story. The stones of Marib, even in ruin, remember her name. Makeda, Bilqis, the Queen of Sheba. She was not a footnote. She was not a curiosity. She was one of the great rulers of the ancient world, and she did it on her own terms. The ancestors held this, and now you know it too. And so the story rests here for now. Sleep well.